Welcome back, everyone. I am so excited to have Sister Dr. Jenna with me. She's the author of Meditation, Intimate Experiences with the Divine Through Contemplative Practices. As a trusted spiritual mentor to people all over the world, she works to bridge divides in societies and build relationships between global influencers. She's the founder and the director of the Brahma Kumari's Meditation Museum and the host of the popular American Meditating radio show at americanmeditating.org, and the recipient of the President's Lifetime National Community Service Award. Sister Dr. Jenna is also a member of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle and was selected by Empower Billion Women 2020 as one of the 100 most influential leaders of 2015. It is such a joy to have you with me.
Best part is you're one of my BFFs. So,
well, I think
hello, Foojan Zeine.
By now knows that I love you so much. You are actually the reason I started this show. And you were my first guest when we started. I came to your show because of my book. And I remember when I was talking to you, all I did was, out of this like profound amount of love that I had experienced, I kept tearing up and kind of like crying. And at the beginning, when I kept seeing you, I was like, that's all I did. I just saw you, and tears of like joy and love would show up. So that's who you are in your essence. So thank you for spending the time to be with me again.
But also it's about the soul connection. Many of us might not remember, or do we have maybe enough understanding that the soul never dies, no? And sometimes when we reconnect with each other, it could be of a long, long time ago. And when we see each other, it's like, oh my God, I've missed you. Yeah. And that whole continuation of the relationship, is birthed, and it just continues in a way. And I love that between us. We have that special link.
Yes.
So can you believe we've gotten another book out there in the world on meditation?
Yes, I remember when I came to Brahma Kumari's, one of the most amazing experience I had was as I sat very quickly. It was almost like I just went in very deep and just solid for I think probably about 15, 20 minutes. And I came out, and it was this, and you told me, you said, when you meditate in a particular place, you create that space for yourself in that environment where it calls you and really pulls you pulls you in immediately. And there's the structure mattered. And that's why you had created, the Brahma Kumaris in Washington, 2 different centers. Your book on meditation, it has your words, your journey, and many, many, many other authors' journey in there. So can you share with us what brought you to want to bring all of these different stories together?
Thanks, Roxanne. It's a really interesting story. Ariel from Sacred Stories Publishing had approached me over a year ago about a book on meditation. And I flatly just said I had no interest. There is no way I'm going to spend time on a book on meditation, especially when there's so many books out there on meditation. And I don't think you can really dive deep into meditation just reading books. I think it's really it's a journey, it's a process that you experiment with your ongoing relationships, with your connections with people. So she came back and she asked me again to please reconsider. She felt that a book is not just on meditation, but it's on the mystical experiences that you've had with the divine and how those mystical experiences changed your life. And that I could invite as many of my friends on the journey with me to co-author along with the book. I'm pretty sure I sent you an invitation to join me on this book, but I think you missed it. But yeah, so there are like 37 co-authors with me.
Yeah, I didn't miss it. I actually saw it, I contemplated. There's a part that I'm struggling, and you always tell me you have this weird spiritual stuff, which mine is like an on-demand thing. And then when I was trying to write this thing, and I kept saying, but I don't do this every day, so it's like I don't know. And then by the time I was contemplating with myself, it just, the deadline passed. So I think mine was like, am I just going to be a fraud if I just say I'm meditating? Because I don't, but I do have spiritual experiences as they show up. And that was the reason I didn't catch on. So hopefully I get this clear with myself. So the next book I'll be joining you.
Appreciate your authenticity. I didn't know that. So thank you about that. You know, so far, the stories have all been so compelling that when we did our book launch, which was on 02/02/2022, February 2nd, and there are actually 222 pages in the book. I mean, there's something so mystical about it. But when we did our book launch, Foojan Zeine, it was just this incredible energy. And everybody who watched it was like, what is this that's coming over me? And the other co-authors that were with me for the launch, they texted me back to say, I don't know what's going on. Something's buzzing. It's like, I'm feeling the light. I'm in the light. I'm back in my days when I was called to be of greatest service. But one of the most common threads in the book is how everyone was led to serving, to giving, to being bigger than they were before their mystical experience. So it was just been a really delight. And it's been #1 in not only mysticism in that category, New Age, but new releases. And it's doing pretty well, I heard.
Beautiful. You share that the meditation is this journey, intimate journey of coming home to the essential part of you that is beyond your titles, labels, roles, and what society and your environment distracts you from. It gives you a chance to listen to those deeper innermost thoughts that are directly connected to the purity and the presence of divine. And it's about building and forming a deeper experience of sacred love, which melts away all that is impure. And what is not sacred is hidden in the dark. So it illuminates love through you. And when anyone comes into your presence, they feel this sacredness and feels safe. And you definitely illuminate that.
Yeah. So I think that we don't have enough examples to remind us of the sacredness of the soul. And I think I can only tell you my teachings of Raj Yoga meditation that's taught in the Brahma Kumari's community, which is predominantly female-led. You can't help but, find that this intimacy between your own spirit and your internal journey, that walking with God on this journey within is a very, very private affair. And there's something very deeply, profoundly mystical and transformative in it that not even the ego is aware of the amount of changes that are going on inside of you. And so when you can identify how much you're changing is when you find yourself in a situation that you've been in before, but somehow you're responding to the situation differently than you used to. And you can feel within yourself, you're just not as flustered as you used to be. And there's a sense of being anchored in something that's much bigger than what you can see with your physical senses. So if I were to write down the benefits of a practice of meditation, the list would be endless, and you could turn the ocean into ink and the earth into paper. You still couldn't stop writing the benefits of meditation because it's that profound.
You speak, not only you have the contemplation of all of the other writers and experiences, but you also share different types of meditation because one meditation might not work for everyone. You share about Raja Yoga, which you practice, but you also shared about guided meditation, sound meditation, mantra meditation, walking meditation, which that I can do, contemplative prayers and meditative readings. And I remember when I came with you to the Brahma Kumari Center to India, all of those were still a part of it. So although there was the lectures and the guidance of Raja Yoga, but I remember many of the meditation being the guided meditation, or Dr. Ivy was there with the sound meditation and the mantras. And so there's so many different ways of being able to tune in for people who one might work better than the other. Can you share a little bit about that?
I think it's a relationship that you establish. Being faithful in one relationship anchors you, but it doesn't mean that you can't love, millions of people outside of that. And what I'm trying to say is, when you find your meditation that connects, you can feel it. I mean, you can feel it. It's doing something for you. Then it's fine. Go deeper in understanding the facets of it and learn it and master it as best as you can. But it doesn't mean that you close your eyes or you turn your back on learning from everyone else and everything else around you. So I am a Brahma Kumaris, and I love sitting with my friends who are reading the Quran and are doing prayer, and I join them. And I love being in a Buddhist temple with my friends who are, reciting Nam Myo Ho Renge Kyo, and I go into it and I can feel the benefit of it. But in my heart and in my wiring, in terms of where I grab the knowledge to keep me focused and to keep me settled, is in my teachings of the Brahma Kumaris. So what I love about the book is that it shows you that you can anchor yourself in one thing, but it doesn't mean you turn your back on everything. Now, the difference of this, what I'm saying, is sometimes people wish to not anchor themselves in one thing because they don't want to be trapped to an organization, a company, a community. They want to belong to all things, but there's no foundation. You're not connected to the root or the seed. And that's why it is imperative for everyone out there who's practicing any sort of a spiritual tradition, anchor yourself somewhere where you feel safe and you feel whole, but embrace everyone else. And you saw that on the mountaintop with a variety of individuals and people doing their thing, but, moving as gracefully as they can. And in answering of your question, we're all on a journey on our own. We're all souls on very specific journeys with a very specific role and part to play, which means I will interpret the unfolding of life based on my part and my specific role. And if I come into a situation that I'm struggling, or it's difficult, or I'm confused, well, that's a part of the journey, but it doesn't mean it has to stay the journey. So I go inwards and I turn my attention to the source, to the divine. And I'll ask God, what does love want me to do? I'm stuck here. And just with that one simple question, He will send a response and will empower you to do what's going to be beneficial for your journey. And so I think if everybody understands the power of meditation, they would not leave it alone.
I know that you have gone through these past years, not only, working in your own growth and working in expanding the growth of others, handling two centers, handling illnesses, handling, other people's illnesses. And you've had to really juggle a lot while you have been a teacher, a mentor to the world. How has meditation in your world supported you in passing through all the ups and downs, which is a lot of people go. Many people think that, oh, I don't have time for meditation, or meditation is just for people with luxury of doing nothing. And, I have to be hyper vigilant all the time about doing things, and I just can't sit. Or when they sit, there's so much shows up for them, which is they up like, no, I can't do that. And even when they are reaching to connect, they're reaching to connect out of like desperation, like do something. I hear people with illnesses or other people illnesses is a demand of do something. And when it's not showing up, or, at the time, then it's like, well, I'm mad, I'm angry, obviously it didn't work, what's the point of me doing? And I know that you've gone through so much these past year. Can you share how your path and meditation has supported you through all the ups and downs?
Well, like a mother, let's say she has 5 kids, and each kid is quite naughty, but she has love for them, and she has no other choice. It's her creation. She knows that there's benefit in having all these children and whatever it has to do for her. And she does what's needed. And whatever are the ups and downs that she goes through, it's okay. It's worth every bit of trial and tribulation and blood, sweat, and tears. Because at the long run, she knows that there's going to be love at the end to meet her. So I think for me, the foundation is where I'd like to bring everyone's attention. If you construct a building without a strong foundation, it will crumble. In Florida, actually, just a year or two ago, there was a building that just crumbled because the foundation was cracking. So when the unfolding of things occur, whether it's through relationship, whether it's through health, whether it's through your own mind, going against you. If you've built a strong foundation of knowing who you really are, besides your 5 senses and beside the way your body looks and is shaped and the color of the skin, if you're more anchored in your thinking and belief system that the soul is the infinite, imperishable, immortal and eternal living light energy, then no matter what's happening outside of you, it can't be more powerful than the spirit. So because I've been on a very consistent, disciplined journey, which you know of my timetable and how we roll in a day, little by little, the power was being built, was, going in, the power was accumulating. It was shaping the personality of the soul. There are days that I feel overwhelmed. And when I get overwhelmed, it's generally this narrative that's happening in my head that I wish I had more power to deal with all of this. So I don't usually blame the situation for the way that I'm feeling, but I'll be like, you have enough power to deal with this. Where is it? And that's where I felt like I've had to keep going back to being responsible in amplifying the spiritual power that I possess. But the spiritual power that you all possess is within you. And until you start to focus your attention behind your eyes and really pull that power from out of you, you will continue to be influenced by the world of the 5 senses and taken in a million different directions. Who's not playing the role of like a mother with 5 kids? Remember the story, old Mother Hubbard lived in a shoe. She had so many kids. She had nothing. She didn't know what to do. Who told her to go have 20, 30 kids in the first place? But that's not the point. The point is you've got job, work, traffic, health, money, bills, mortgage. If you do it like that, you could just scream. But how about this? I've got me. I've got power. I'm immortal. I'm a child of God. There's a gift that I have. I'm born with a particular part and role to play. Now let's do it. Let's see what it is that needs to come out of me. So I would advise all of your beautiful audience to really contemplate becoming very consistent in their connection with themselves, not to put themselves aside, but to be consistent in anchoring themselves into a relationship with the divine and make that an unbreakable link.
You also have wonderful, wonderful people who have shared. One of them, which I truly love her work, is Jean Houston. And so many more. I just kept reading.
In Jean's article, she had her little puppy, that she learned everything from. And it's one of the most endearing stories in the book. And another one was the way Reverend Sylvia Sumter from Unity of Washington, D.C. remembered the light. She had all these avatars, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, all of these souls, and she could feel them around her, and they were all light. But there was another light that was stronger than all of them. And she said, I kept wanting to turn to that light, but I just couldn't. It was so bright, I just couldn't. But then all of the other light beings, like the Christ soul, the Jesus soul, the Buddha soul, they says, don't worry, we're here. And you too are a light. And so all of these stories that are in the book, there was one with Emily Hine, who completely changed her life from being an extremely successful consultant from Microsoft and techie to changing the world and doing work and advocacy for world peace after 9/11. And that light came into her. And when she had to speak at Congress to submit a Department of Peace bill, she was so scared, but she remembered that experience. And in the experience, it told her you were bigger than the Capitol. And so when she walked in to speak to all the members of Congress and Senate about this bill, she didn't feel the intimidation that she felt before. So the stories in the book, Foojanji, has all of this in it, that it says you might be up for a mystical experience and you don't even know it. You might have even had one, but you were so busy in the world of sound that you didn't even give it any credence. And so now the drama and the destiny of life is saying, turn inwards, recognize the vast universe behind your eyes, and live from that place.
I know that the voice inside myself has turned to be very loving. I think for the first time in my life, I'm experiencing with like the love of my body, which I really had not done before. And it's such a sweet love. A lot of times with my body, it was more like, you know, you shall not eat this, and why are you doing this? And it was like punitive. And I keep hearing now this kind of like, oh, sweet, it's okay. You know, this compassion that has shown up for my body, which is really interesting, that the tonality of that voice is very different in the essence of love and compassion and sweetness that is started to build inside. And it shows up in different times. But I still got to do the ritual.
But that's so good to hear. No, that's so good to hear, because a lot of us are into body shaming, or we think we have to be a size 6 or 7 to be recognized as looking good or beautiful, or the color of the skin. But when we are so aware and so conscious, the interpretation, the understanding, the wisdom, and the truth within that awareness of being so conscious, soul aware, says, this is the body that I'm gifted with.
Yes.
And then you start to serve that body with reverence because you love it. And in your serving the body with reverence, it also sometimes turns around and does wonderful things for you, like become really healthy, or it starts to put muscles where it's supposed to be. Or maybe it starts to remove certain fats and put them where they really belong, you know? So it just depends. It's just, you must love. My mother, I always have a story about her because she's been such an interesting teacher for me. Growing up, I always watched her, you know, combing her hair. She's an African Jamaican woman. She's combing her hair. Her hair is only right here. You know, she's a Black woman. And she's trying to pretend like she's somewhere else in time, combing her hair. And she'd tell me, my hair is blonde, you know, Jen. And I'm like, no, it's not. And she'd be doing that. And I used to see her go to the beach and sunbathe like she was some Caucasian with blonde hair. I go, does that woman know that she dark than night? What is wrong with her? And then as I matured, I realized this is something I think that her soul was grappling with, was that the soul was in another body, in another race, and the soul is still attached to that narrative. And now here she is in this African body with definitely not long blonde hair, and she doesn't like the body. So what I hear from my mother all the time, this hurts, this aches, this is bad, this is hurting, I need to do this. And she's always saying that she's sick. You take her to the hospital 100 times for the year. Nothing is wrong with my mom. So there's something in her spirit that is just stuck somewhere. But now with her dementia being so advanced, that woman don't care if she's in or out of her body. She's so happy. And she's just a delight to have around, for the exception of her breaking into the kitchen and eating everything in the fridge.
I keep thinking about the phrase, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter.
I will remember that when I go downstairs and see her breaking into the fridge.
Because I remember when my mom was also going through the dementia and Alzheimer's, a lot of the things that she kind of got caught before, it just didn't matter. She turned out to be this beautiful child of,
Yeah.
like a 6-month-old who was just
Yeah.
experiencing joy. And, she was living in the moment, literally in the moment at every point. Sister Dr. Jenna, everyone, the author of Meditation Intimate Experiences with the Divine Through Contemplative Practices. Sister Jenna, any completing beautiful jewel that you have as we complete our conversation?
It's time for you to take care of yourself. It's time for you to listen. It's time for you to value the deep silence that's already within you, but wants more of your attention. It's time for you to remember God more so that you can stay true to yourself and to others around you. It's time for you to keep practicing what does love want you to do so that you can feel your connection to the divine. And I think if we all do that, there'll be world peace.
Yes, I do agree. It starts with us. So everyone, please go get the book, Meditation, Intimate Experiences with the Divine Through Contemplative Practices by Sister Dr. Jenna and other wonderful, wonderful beings, practitioners, beings, and they share their life with you. It is such a joy to be with you and see you, and thank you. Thank you for coming, and I look forward to more of your books.
Thank you. And all the best for you too, Foojanji. You're doing so much good out there, and our unlimited pure feelings and blessings are always with you and your team and everything that you continue to envision to leave behind and make the world better than you entered into it.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back.
Togetherness Media. Togethernessmedia.com.